This is the UTV 44 Game of the Week Preview Show, brought to you by Metro PCS.
And good evening and welcome to week 2 of the high school football season here on UTV 44. I'm Jim Cox, my partner Dan Brennan. As always, we are on the Eastern Shore tonight here at Metro PCS at 28825 Highway 98, right next to the Smoothie King, or as Tara says, the wonderful smelling Subway bread that is baking right here next door.
No objections.
So we get ready for the matchup, Daphne and Spanish Fort tonight here on UTV 44. We'll talk all about that. We've got head coach Kenny King from the Daphne Trojans with us, coming off a win last week. We've got Ben Blackman, head coach of the Toros, here with us as well. But man, we've got to go back to last Friday night out at 8 Mile on the campus of Blount. I mean, that was all we could talk about when we got here tonight, was the atmosphere from last week's game.
Yeah, you know, the game itself, you got a chance, we can get into that, but what we saw when we first arrived, well, what we saw was a bunch of cars in front of us, and so we get there pretty early, and it was already backed up back off to on Lot Road, trying to get on the campus of Blount. And then when you turned the corner and got to where we were trying to get to, the main parking lot at the stadium itself, it was like a festival.
It really was.
It was just this tailgating massive at a massive level like you would see at a college game.
Yeah, had a DJ there on the track playing the tunes. That was a lot of fun. And Dan said all the tailgaters that go down. Usually there's some tailgating at that game. I guess we were there 2 years ago and then back there at Blount this year. But I mean, it was just nothing like we'd seen.
No.
You know, it was, like I said, Blount High School had to send out a message saying, hey, we're sold out. We don't have any more tailgating spots to come. Like you said at a NASCAR race.
Exactly.
Can't do that. And then we saw what we expected we would see, some really talented football players on the field on both sides. And I thought you made a great point saying, hey, you know, Viger's going to be just fine. It's just the school's not as big as Blount, and they just don't have as many players to pull from.
Yeah, and I thought before the game, it was like when people would ask, and even when we were at midfield, it was like, yeah, Viger's got players. Blount's just got more. And it's a matter of how well they play, especially with a brand new quarterback. And then when you saw what Jacoby Davis was able to do, then you're like, you know what? They're going to be just fine. And so he played well. They played well. They a little error prone, but that's the first game, and the jitters with 12,000 people and such a rivalry game. But I thought Blount looked great. And I think Viger in 5A is going to be just fine.
Oh, I totally agree there. And Blount, they're going to be a handful for a lot of teams. They've got the guys who can just one play change the football game. I think that's what we saw more than anything else. They have just the one guy who could turn the game like that.
And they had a defensive lineman who was nearly unblockable.
Oh, Cortland Martin.
So what you had was really good athletes playing at a high level, highly motivated, and they just look like, again, Tony has gone to the University of Florida. We'll see him shifting around on Saturdays here real soon. But don't say a prayer for Blount. They're doing just fine.
Yeah, I think they'll be really, really fine. So we saw Blount and Viger open up two great rivals to open up the season. Now, the way region play shakes out, we're here tonight for another great rivalry as we've got Daphne and Spanish Fort. And, of course, big rivalry here on the Eastern Shore, but also the stakes elevated in week 2 because now we start region play.
Yeah, this is big. This is big, and it's almost like last week all over again. We're going to have two teams that are talented, highly motivated, kids who know each other, have competed against each other for most of their, competitive lives. So no secrets here. These are teams that know each other well and are just going to go out and scrap from midfield on. Yeah,
we saw that Daphne got the win 3-0 over Davidson last week, and McGill holds on to beat Spanish Fort at the end. But, Ben Blackman, and we'll talk about it, but I love when you see a team who at the beginning of the season says, all right, we want to play as tough as we can to start the season because it doesn't matter week 1. I want to see how it pays off for us in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they acquitted themselves pretty well against McGill Tulane, so I think we got a great one tonight.
All right, we'll come back and we'll get you ready for the matchup here tonight in Daphne. It's Spanish Fort and the Daphne Trojans right here on UTV 44. Metro PCS, that's where we're at here in Daphne. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Ben Blackman, head coach of the Spanish Fort Toros, and Grant Betts, who is going to be a Trojan, but we're going to talk about that a little, not what comes to mind right away.
Not tonight,
for tonight's game. So, all right, Coach, so, I mean, boy, we were just talking about it. week 2 of the high school football season, region play, Spanish Fort Daphne. I mean, like, kind of all the cards are on the table here as we get things going, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's great Region 1 football. I mean, you got 2 good football teams. They got a lot of good players, and both teams are well coached, and they're going to get after it, and you know, it should be exciting.
What did you learn about your team in week 1? Maybe something that maybe surprised you that you weren't sure about?
That they'll rise to the level of expectations, that they're fighters, that they're going to compete their tails off every play. And, you know, and our kids never quit, you know, all the way down to the end. And so very, very proud of them. And I think they, you know, they surprise themselves a little bit.
I think you see, you know, sometimes you'll see teams that maybe don't have a program that is at the level of a Spanish Fort or a Daphne, and they kind of feel that, hey, this might be our year. This is going to be our year. We really get maybe to get something going. Like you said, the expectation, like it doesn't change one year to the next at Spanish Fort, does it?
No, our kids, they work all year long for the end result of a state championship and on the field. And that's, you know, with graduation, that doesn't go away, you know. And so our senior class, we're small. Senior class, we only have 14 seniors. And only have...
Does it just shake out that way sometimes?
Well, you know, it just happens. And you have some classes that are, you know, the last 2 classes we've had 30 and 29 kids in, and been able to have a lot more depth. But our seniors are doing a really, really good job leading us this season, and will continue to do so.
You know, Spanish Fort definitely is a community with expectations because of all the excellence they've witnessed. To me, I mean, there's good and bad that comes from that. I know Ben's done very little losing in his time at Spanish Fort, but even on those days, that Saturday, his kids won't talk to him. It's tough. There's a level of pressure that you feel all across the community. No game is bigger than this one.
Yeah, you know, it is, and you know, we live a short distance away from these kids, and you know, we grow up and our community plays their community in everything. It doesn't matter if it's pitching quarters. Spanish Fort's playing Daphne, whether it's you know, youth football, youth baseball. We always play each other. So these kids know who they are, and they've competed all their lives against these kids, and so that's cool. What makes it so intense. And you know, Spanish Fort broke off. All these kids, you know, most of these kids' older brothers and family members broke off from the Daphne school system. So, you know, so that's why there's a lot of competition there.
You talked about leadership, and I'm sure that's one of the qualities of Grant Betts. Why you have him here, big lineman here to talk with us tonight.
Well, Grant's a 3-year starter for us. He's played more football games than anybody on our team. Was a starting left tackle 2 years ago and 15-0. Started for us for 13 games last year. Just been a really, really good football player for us, and very proud of him and the work ethic he's put in, and he's bought in, and we've asked him to do some things, and you know, he's stepping up to the table. So.
What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you at that line of scrimmage? Maybe right after a play, maybe right before a play, where you think, are you kidding me? Because we know the stories are you never know what's going on down there.
I mean, the craziest feeling for me was being in the state championship game 2 years ago and jumping off sides in the first drive and really starting off in a negative way for myself.
Well, I'm sorry I asked the question.
But you were able to get yourself back focused. What's this game mean to you, Spanish Fort and Daphne?
It means a lot because you do grow up playing against these kids your entire life, and it's a lot of exciting. It's always a lot of fun, and it's really fun to play.
You've got some plans after Spanish Fort High School?
Yes, sir. Go play at Troy.
Troy University.
Yeah, it's going to be a Trojan. You said go Trojans, right?
Troy Trojans.
Yeah, well, he just had to kind of clarify what you meant there. Hey, you brought up a point. You said you know, graduation never is going to end, and you know, isn't that part of being a coach? What makes coaches, you know, you're always seeing what you can do with the next group of kids that are coming through.
You know, that is the fun part of coaching is you see, you know, your kids and they graduate and they move on, and then you get this new group of kids, and you as a coach have to mold them and mentor them and get the most out of them and put them in the right spots to be successful. And you know, that's what I love about coaching football, because at the end of the day, the wins and losses are going to come, but the success that you get to see from the kids when when he was a ninth grader, and his seniors, and when they were ninth graders, and where they are now, and when they're going to leave us and go into the real world and be young men of character, you know, and do things the right way. And so we preach that. We preach that about being, you know, having a lot of energy, you know, being a competitor, being mentally tough, and forming a brotherhood, and finishing what you do. I mean, those are our core values.
And I'm sure there's sometimes you think you'd be, well, how are we going to do what we've done in the past? And then pretty soon, because it is, you know, it's like winning is a habit. I mean, it's kind of like good habits, bad habits. And you see all of a sudden, now you see the kids rising up. Like you said on Friday night, you were proud how they rose up to the level of competition, the expectations they had.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, you know, very, very excited to watch this team grow as we go through the year. They're going to get better each week, and you know, we got a lot of young kids playing for us right now. We do. You know, we got about 6 seniors starting on both sides of the ball total, and the rest of them are young. They're juniors and sophomores, which you know, that's good and bad. Depends on how you look at it. You know, and you know, for the immediate, you know, present right now, sometimes the youth shows up, but you know, for the future, it's going to be really good.
All right, Coach Blackman will be back with us in our last segment. He and Coach King. Grant, good luck to you. Good luck tonight, all season long. Good luck as a Trojan next year. And we'll come back and we'll talk about the Trojans. This will be the Daphne Trojans as we get ready for Daphne in Spanish Sport tonight here on UTV 44. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan back here at Metro PCS in Daphne as we get ready for the Daphne Trojans in Spanish Sport. Toros here tonight on UTV 44. Coach Kenny King of the Trojans with us here. Chance Newman, quarterback, back with us. And think he'll smile tonight? Think he'll probably have a good smile?
He got us. Look, 2 things about this kid. Great smile, great toughness. Likes to throw the ball. Doesn't mind getting out of the dirt and doing it again, right?
Right.
So I always love when we watch teams that are led by quarterbacks who are tough kids. And he doesn't make a big deal out of it, but he is.
Hey, Coach, so a year ago, we were kind of sitting here about the same time, and you had just gotten to, not just gotten to Daphne, but just gotten the season started. You were getting ready to go your first year as a head coach. How much, maybe not easier is the word, but more routine is it for you now in year 2 as the head coach here at Daphne?
This year has been pretty fair, I would say. You know, if you look at it, every team is different. This team is different from last year's team, and the expectations are still the same as, again, trying to win a championship. So, you know, it's still the stresses, it's still everything we have to get done to be successful. So the stress level is still high.
You know, like Spanish Sport, you went up a class, played at 7A Davidson last week, and boy, your defense really went across the bay, and they put on a show over there at Lad People Stadium, didn't they?
The defense played well. You know, we have a lot of returning starters on that defensive side of the ball, and they came out and they pitched a shutout, so we were excited to see them be successful. So we're excited to see them tonight and see what they can get done.
If there was one thing you took away from the game, first thing you're taking away a win. You're driving back across the Bayway with a win. I know that feels good. But we're talking about last week. What did you take away, especially when you really looked at that film closely and think, we've got to get a lot better here? What would that be?
Mistakes. A lot of penalties. I think we had 14 penalties, and that's what we have to get corrected. And that's expected. First game, I have a lot of guys coming back on defense, but not as many on offense. So we've seen a lot of mistakes there. So getting those mistakes corrected, I think we'll be okay.
Talking with Coach King about how maybe more of a routine and easier things coming to him as second year. How about you? How much different does it feel for you now this year as opposed to, say, a year ago when you're sitting in that chair?
You know, it gets more comfortable throughout the year. Every year it seems like. So this year, early in the season, we have a lot of young guys, and there's going to be a lot of mistakes with all of us. It's our first game back at it, and so that happens. And then so week 2, we feel pretty good. We've had a pretty good week of practice this week. I feel a lot more comfortable going in this year, not feeling like you know, I don't have any experience. This year, I feel a lot more comfortable.
And starting off the season with a win, I mean, you can't overstate how great that makes you feel, and no matter what happens on the field, you still came away with a win.
It's a really good feeling coming out, starting out, especially because we started out 0-2 last year, and then so coming out, winning the first one this year. I mean, a win is a win, even if it was a little bit rough, and we have plenty of time to get that picked up throughout the season.
Do you expect that the biggest improvement, a lot of teams talk about between week 1 and week 2 is when you see that big jump? Is that the same thing you think here at this level?
Absolutely. Like I say, you see a lot of mistakes in game 1, and that's every team. So our biggest thing is looking at the film, seeing what we done wrong, getting that corrected, and going out and try to be successful the next week.
It'd be a lot easier to make the jump in week 2 and do a lot better if we weren't playing Spanish Fort.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a team that's used to winning football games, and it looks like they're right back at it. They're another solid football team. What do you see when you look at them?
Absolutely. Spanish Fort going to always be good. They put a great product on the field. As you saw them against McGill, they fought to the end, and just a couple plays away from winning that game. So we expect great things out of Spanish Fort, and you know, that's the team we have to go in to beat in order for us to get back to where we need to be.
And you know, one thing, we talk about the great defensive performance, and obviously Davidson's defense played very well as well in holding you without a touchdown. But special teams, I mean, you get a 22-yard field goal to, I think it was the first play of the 4th quarter. I mean, special teams really turns out to be the difference in that football game.
Absolutely. I say our MVP is Diego, is our kicker and punter, and he's done a great job for us. He did a great job last year, and I'm glad that he's here and back playing again, and he's only a junior, so we're definitely excited about that. But special team plays a big role if we can, again, win 2 out of 3. Meaning we can win offensive special teams or defensive special teams. I feel like we have the best chance of winning.
Yeah, we
won the lottery. Week 1, we had Viger at Blunt.
Right.
Week 2, we got Spanish Fort at Daphne, and it's just the highest level of competition, and young guys giving everything they've got, well prepared. So we get to buckle in for another great one tonight.
Yeah, and you know, it's region play, so the stakes are elevated a little more.
Yeah.
Big rivalry game, as Dan said. So we can't wait to see it. It'll be coming up here in about 10 minutes. Chance, good luck to you. Be safe out there tonight. Keep smiling. Coach, stay here. We got another segment. It's not as bad as last year. I know you only had to go through it 1 year with the silly questions. We've done away with the silly questions. We'll find out.
It's close.
Yeah, it's easier, though, I promise. Stick around. We'll come back and get you ready for the kickoff between Spanish Fort and Daphne tonight here on UTV 44. Metro PCS here on Highway 98 in Daphne. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Kenny King, head coach of the Daphne Trojans, Ben Blackman, head coach of the Spanish Fort Toros. And we've talked about this a bunch of times because Ben's been here longer than you have. But, I mean, nights like this, it's like one of the reasons why you came back from Arizona to get a chance to be in these big, huge high school football games, right?
Absolutely. Being in Arizona, you kind of look on the internet and see who's winning, and you want to be a part of it. So that's why I got back to Daphne.
Yeah. You know who was winning a lot last year? You.
I thought.
Welcome back to town.
Lev Holly, the Blunt coach last week, I thought made a great point. I can't remember if it was in the show or on the field we were talking to, but he told his kids, you know, there was going to be 12,000 people there. He told his kids, he said, you know, think about all the kids who play high school football, and think about how few have a chance to play in an atmosphere like Blunt and Viger or Daphne and Spanish Fort. I mean, we're so spoiled here by how good the football is.
Well, you know, and these are the games I'm sure Kenny remembers playing in high school when he played at Daphne, and I played at Robert E. Lee, the Lee JD games, and the huge crowds. Those are the games you remember as you get older, and you talk about, you know, when you're sitting around and maybe you tell your grandkids or you tell your kids about, you know, hey, remember this time, you know. So these are the games that you're definitely in it for.
All right, so no more silly questions. We play this new game called Start with Dan Brennan. He's either Bren in or Bren out on whatever the topic is, and then so you're either in or out. It's real simple. So we'll start with Dan Brennan. Dan Brennan.
Yeah, yes.
Sushi.
Out. Bren out.
Sushi.
Out.
Out?
My wife made me try it one time, so it depends on what kind it is. I'll go in.
Yeah, that is 3 salads.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
I could eat it every day. All right, cooking on a charcoal grill as opposed to a gas grill.
Well,
In or out? Brent in, Brent out.
Brand in.
Charcoal?
I'd rather
charcoal.
In.
I own a gas grill.
Green egg.
Yeah, okay. I'm a Kamado
you
Joe guy. Same thing. All right. Watching cooking shows on TV. Dan Brennan. Brent in, Brent out.
What in the world?
Okay.
Brent out.
Cooking show?
You know, I'm big, so
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
Only if I got my 6-year-old daughter in my lap. She loves to
you
watch
go.
cooking
Okay,
videos.
Thank you. You got to have an excuse.
I can do that. All right. Believing in UFOs. Brent in, Brent out.
Way, I believe, like, we're looking down on the field, that's a game. Up there, somebody's, no. Brent
Out.
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 Out. I'm with you on that
Thank
one.
you. Where did that one come from?
Where does this one come from? Wind chimes. Wind chimes. In, Brent out.
We own some, so I guess I'm in.
Out.
I'm out.
I can't stand the sound of a wind chime.
Okay.
Washing your car in the driveway. Brent in, Brent out.
That's like the UFO. I'm so far out on that.
I'm out.
It's easier to go to the.
Kyle, I'm ready. Gotta go to the-
He's a busy man, busy leader of man.
all right. Squirrels. Brent in, Brent out.
Like what, like Randy Clampett cooking them?
Well, no, just like them. I guess you just like them.
No, Brent out.
Brent out?
I'm in. They don't bother me.
Yeah, man, my wife's alpha gam, so they're squirrels. So,
Yeah.
I like squirrels. They're okay.
I feed them every day, every morning. I start morning feeding the.
well, the neighbors
feeding
aren't
the,
excited
feeding the
about
squirrels. Uber. Brent in, Brent out.
Brent in.
I don't know.
Oh.
I'll say in.
Yeah, you got it.
I mean, I've used it.
Oh, love it. Use it. All right. Florida State plus the 7 points. Brent in, Brent out.
Brent out.
Roll Tide.
Yeah.
I think Alabama wins by 7.
Oh. So you got to run on the fence there. Kind of
Or more. I think Alabama covers.
Okay. All right. Roller coasters. Oh, Brent in.
Yeah.
In.
Best ones are Busch Garden.
All right. I'm all right on those.
Got like a Yelp review of them.
Brent in and Brent out. High school football tonight. Daphne and Spanish Sport right here on UTV 44.